a worm as I. At the cross where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. Was it for crimes that I had done, He crowned upon the tree.
on. Take some prayer requests at this time. Yeah. Yeah, let's continue to remember Sharon and Belinda. I called Belinda yesterday, and she said she had thought she was feeling better, but she got up yesterday morning and had another episode. So she was going to go to the doctor today uh, and see if they could give her something for it. It's vertigo. I know I have Meniere's disease, and it's similar, and I have to take a diuretic about every day because Meniere's disease affects your inner ear canal, inner ear fluid, all that. So it's not any fun when it lets go. I'll put it that way. But anyone else? Let's remember our graduates. And we're passing out, the Gideons are passing out elementary school Bibles this week and next week. We did half yesterday, and we did the southern half yesterday, and we're going to do northern half tomorrow. Next week at Wayne County. So just remember that will be accepted. It's usually, no one ever objects. But they want us, a few of the elementary schools want us to leave it in the office. So that's what we do. But most of them let us get in the classroom if they're available and hand them out. So, and then we got the graduation on Tulsa, Friday night, the 29th, and then Spring Valley and Wayne on the 30th. So we try to get those two. Anyone else? Let's go to the Lord. I haven't. No. Well, let's remember these requests and let's go to the Lord in a word of prayer. Father, we come to this evening thanking you, Lord, again for this opportunity, Lord. Be with us in this time of request, Lord, and just take care of each one as voiced, Lord Jesus, and you know all about them before we even say anything, Lord Jesus. Ask that you be with the Bibles that we are giving out, Lord Jesus, the next 2 weeks, that it will just do a good work, Lord Jesus, for your cause, Lord Jesus, and further your word, Father. Be with each and every one here tonight, Lord, each family representative. Be with those who are not here. Be with Zach, Lord, and his family, Lord. We thank you, Lord Jesus, for what they mean to us, Father. Lord, just be with us tonight, Lord, in all our precious name, and help me remember the words I've studied, Lord Jesus, and we just for no other reason to bring you glory, Lord Jesus. In the precious name I pray, amen. We're going to be in the 11th chapter of Romans, and the majority of this chapter is Paul reinforcing his belief that Israel has not been permanently set aside. know we all have heard. Matter of fact, I just heard on the news here a couple of days ago, or maybe longer, but where Israel is the most hated nation in the world right now. And that doesn't surprise me because they've always been hated by not just the Arab world, but it's just like a universal hate against Israel and what they stand for. But that's not surprising because that's going to be part of the prophecy is that the world does hate Israel, not just Jesus, but and all they stand for. Who is Israel, by the way? Or what is Israel? Maybe I can put it that way. What is Israel? What does Israel mean? In the Hebrew, I think it means contention or contention, struggling. And of course, Jacob was given that name when he fought with the angel or wrestled with the angel, I guess, all night. And at the end of the night, the angel changed his name from Jacob to Israel. Of course, Jacob was Abraham's grandson. As far as the scripture is concerned, there's only two kinds. In the Old Testament, there were only two classes of people, Gentiles and Jews. Now, when the New Testament came on the scene, when Jesus came on the scene and fulfilled his redeemer role, he redeemed us from sin through his shed blood, then the church was introduced. Now, the church can be both Jew and Gentile, and to me, that is the idea behind the church is nationalities do not matter. We're all Christians, no matter what nationality we are, no matter what color we are, what our skin or anything. But we are all Christians in the church, and the church, of course, is God's people. But anyone can be part of God's people, part of the church. Now, before Abraham was the first person to be called a Hebrew. And before he was called, all the world was a Gentile nation because there were no distinct countries represented. They were all one class, and that was the Gentile people until Abraham was called. Now, of course, when Abraham was called, now why he called Abraham? He didn't call Abraham because he was stronger than anybody else, or he was better looking than anybody else, or he had more money than anybody else. He called Abraham for one reason, because Abraham obeyed him, and he obeyed him in faith. The same way with the people of Israel. You know, the people of Israel, the nation of Israel sprung forth from Jacob, where he had the 12 sons, and which eventually became the nation of Israel. And again, why God chose Israel. I don't know the omnipotent mind of God. I mean, the mind he has, I can only even claim to be, but for whatever reason, for God's grace, he chose Israel to further his kingdom. And that's the thing. See, Israel, it was more than just an extended family, the nation of Israel, because they all came from the same family, from Jacob's family. They all came, so Israel is more than just an extended family. Israel were the ones that God chose to further the salvation of man through and by Jesus Christ. And God chose them, again, the same reason, not because they were going to do something special, not because they had a lot of potential, not because they there were so many of them, which actually there weren't. But at that time, when the chosen, they were just the family. I mean, just Jacob and his family, his 12 sons and their family. But yet God used that, and just because there's a small number, don't mean that God can't do a good works or great works. Well, we can see, looking back now, the nation of Israel sprang forth from these 12 sons and their families to what we have today as a nation of Israel. And God continued to bless them. He brought them, I mean, now think about that. He chose the nation of Israel, and they weren't even a nation. They were slaves in Egypt. And God still yet, being God, omnipotent, and knowing all, and knowing the future, what he chose Israel, even though they were slaves in Egypt. But yet God chose them to do a great work, and that is to provide the Redeemer of mankind, Jesus Christ. So, again, man's eyes is one thing, God's eyes is another. It's like in, I was reading in the second chapter of Daniel the other day, and the vision that Nebuchadnezzar seen was the same as the one later on, the fifth chapter of Daniel. The difference is Nebuchadnezzar seen something in his eyes, and God seen the same thing in his eyes. So man's eyes and God's eyes don't always see the same thing. Rarely do, but still yet God chose this nation Israel to further the kingdom of God. He brought them out of Egypt. He gave them. He had a covenant with them. He made a covenant with them on Mount Sinai, and all they had to do was obey God. That's it. And we know, of course, that they failed miserably in obeying God. The original plan for Israel was to be a kingdom of priests and show the world through the kingdom of priests what God is all about. And also, vice versa, to introduce God to the world. That was their original purpose, was to show God to the other nations. That of course didn't happen because they were obedient. They were disobedient. They didn't obey God. Even as good as he was to them, brought them out of Egypt, made a covenant with them, and then give them a land that they didn't even own. And that was, of course, the promised land. And even it was occupied, and still yet God gave that land to them to be the nation of Israel. But yet they disobeyed. Again, they failed miserably, and it just shows you that no matter how good God is to us sometimes, we still fail him. We still disobey him. And Israel is a prime example. Now, because of that, as far as the lesson or the subject tonight is Israel finished? Have they gone so far that they will never recover? And the point is that people are now looking, and one denomination in particular that I know of says that the church has replaced Israel to do God's doing. Well, temporarily, they're right, but not permanently. And that's what Paul was trying to get them to see here in the chapter 11 of Romans. He said, I say then, hath God cast away his people? Now, this was a relevant question, because if you read it in chapter 10, the last couple of verses of chapter 10, verse 20, But said, but Isaiah is very bold and saith, I was found by them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked me not after me. But to Israel he saith, all day long I have stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and contrary people. So with a closing like that, Paul's next question is, what? I mean, hath God cast away his people? And of course, I believe, and I think the scripture teaches that he is not. He's just, they've been set aside while God uses the church. And the question, or the salvation is open to all, both Jew and Gentile. And in the entire history of God's chosen people is shown in the Old Testament. I mean, Israel, even though they failed miserably, Israel gave us at least 2 points of view, and one introductions. One was Jesus, where they gave us Jesus, and they give us the Old Testament. The Old Testament is a history of the Israelite people, and it's sadly, most of it is failures, but still yet Jesus is a shining star that came out of the nation of Israel. And that was always meant to be, and God knew that. And God it didn't catch God by surprise that Israel failed. And Paul was trying to get them. Paul himself, matter of fact, he says, God forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Paul is here a Christian, but he is a Jew. He was matter of fact, Paul was a Jew's Jew. He was smart. He was well educated. He knew the law. Front wasn't backwards, but still yet he knew enough and recognized that this man Jesus is God, and he accepted Jesus as the Messiah. Even though he's the very one that early on persecuted the Christians, not just persecuting, but actually had a hand in leading them to death sometimes. But still yet, Paul was smart enough to realize, once God accosted him on the road to Damascus, that Jesus is the real thing. This is the Messiah. He is the Messiah. He is the one we've looked for, and he is the one we desire to be our Messiah. Paul himself said, I'm proof of that. How else could you explain the fact that I changed so much? How could you go from a man who is breathing threats to Christians to arrest them and bring them back for trial just for being a Christian, sometimes, like I said, leading to their death, to a man who is all about Jesus. And as we would say, he was saved as Jesus as his Messiah and his Savior. And Paul, he said, I'm proof of that. You can trace my lineage only back to Abraham. It says, God hath not cast away his people whom he foreknew. The thing about, and what's hard to sometimes fathom, is that God knew all this would take place. He knew his people would fail him. He knew that even though he went to every extreme, making a covenant with them on Mount Sinai and giving them a conditional promise that if you do this, then I will do that. In other words, he said, if you obey me, I will be your God forever. And of course, they failed him, but God knew they would, just like he knew that Jesus would be crucified. He knew that. God has foreknowledge. So God knew that he would have to use the church. That's why Jesus came, to give us the church to work in the interim between what I've called the between the 69th and 70th week, and I'm getting into Daniel again, but uh, we are in a period. It's called the age of grace. Um, we are dependent upon the grace of God, and it goes into that a little bit here in a minute. But we are dependent on the grace of God to save it. Not that we could ever work ourselves to be saved, but only through and by the grace of God. We have the faith to believe that God is merciful, and when we accept Him as our Savior, He is merciful and He will save us, just like He did Paul. So the church age here is the period that we have in the interim, that where God's people are working to see people saved. And when that period is over, I have no idea. Only God knows. But that's why you hear people say we got to work while we can, because no one knows when the last person will be saved. This gets into the fulfillment of the Gentiles, which will end eventually. But Paul here is talking about the church age, which is the age we're now. God, he says in verse, know ye not that the scripture saith of Elijah, how he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed the prophets and dug down to the prophet, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. Here was Elijah, who had just had victory over the prophets of Baal, and now he's running for his own life, and he's hid up in a cave somewhere, and he kind of feels sorry for himself. He says, Lord, why? They're after me now. What? And God says, no, wait a minute. He says, I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed down to the image of Baal. So these verses are what's called the remnant, the instructions of remnants. When God uses a remnant, God will always have a remnant, and no matter how little it is, it will get the job done if God is with it, is God in it. God always has it. When Cyrus gave the decree for the Israelites to go back and reestablish their homeland, there wasn't that many of them. It was just a small fraction, but yet God used those people to reestablish Israel to what you see today. They rebuilt the temple, rebuilt the walls. So God is always going to have a remnant. And that's going to be true right on down through the tribulation, is God will always have a remnant. Like I said, a remnant don't have to be huge. He don't have to have a huge number to do anything. God can work miracles through a very small number. And he's shown that through the scriptures. He doesn't have to have a great number of people to do a great work. He can use the same great work through a small number of people. And here Paul was reminding the people who were saying that the church has taken place of Israel. He said that's not true. He used Elijah as an example. He says, even so, then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. Now, I'm not going to get any election because Zach did a good job of going what the election is, but it's only through his grace. We are if you're a Christian, you are part of the elect. If you have accepted God as your Savior, you have taken advantage of the grace of God, and He has given you the grace, and we are saved through the election of grace. His grace, not our grace. His grace saves us. Not anything we can do or ever could do or ever will do, only through His grace. It's like, we don't, it's the kindness of the giver, basically, if you look at it. We receive grace because of the kindness of God, the kindness of the giver. And that's called here the election of grace. But it's God's prerogative. It's God's prerogative to show the election of grace, and He does. And if you really are, God does not say no if you really bow down to Him and really want to know Him and accept Him as your Savior and profess Him as your Savior. God will save you through His election of grace. And if by grace, then it is not more of works, otherwise grace is no more grace. But if be of works, then is it no more grace? Otherwise, work is no more work. In other words, when it comes to salvation, work and grace don't exist together. They don't mix. Grace saves us. Works come later. But Paul says if it's grace, then it's grace. If it's works, it's works. It can't be the other way around. It can't be works and grace. It could only be the grace that saves us, and the works comes later. As the book of James says. Verse 7 says, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh. I want to use my light. That's the only thing about these new eyes. I had to have light. So he says, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. Those who accept Christ, they accept Him as their Savior. Those who don't are hardened more and more, and actually made blind by the fact that they hardened their heart so much like Pharaoh did. Every time that Moses did a great miracle, it hardened his heart, hardened Pharaoh's heart. Today, the same thing happens. I believe it's possible for someone to turn their back on Christ so many times that it actually becomes the point that they don't even think about it anymore. It doesn't bother them. They don't have the conviction they had at one point. They become hardened. They become blinded, as it says. For the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. Those who are saved through the election of God's grace are saved. Saved indeed. Those who turn it down, they keep turning it down. They are eventually blinded by their own sin, by their own rejection of Christ. And that conviction, I believe, sometimes goes away to the point that they don't feel the conviction anymore. They've turned their back on God so many times and said no to His grace that it becomes like water off a duck's back. It just rolls right off when you speak of salvation. According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that should not see, and ears that should not hear unto this day. Slumber. There was here it is. Whoever receives and responds to His mercy, but the rest were hardened by the rejection. Does Israel's stumbling predicted mean that they have fallen away permanently? Certainly not. But through their fall is what led us to be saved through the Gentile nation. Because God hath given them the spirit of slumber, even that they should not see, and ears that should not hear unto they were in a stupor. What the people he was talking about here is that Israel, those who have not accepted Christ, the Jewish nation, the Jewish who have not accepted Christ, according to Paul, they're in a slumber. They're in a stupor. They don't hear, they don't see. he said, unto this day. And David said, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. This is in Psalms, where, but David is wishing that on the enemy. And however, God let it happen to Israel because of the rejection, their nationwide rejection of Jesus as their Messiah. And that's true today. Now, Paul was saying to this day, which meant his day, but it's true today, in this day and age. The nation of Israel has not accepted Christ as their Savior, as a nation. And the more they reject it, the more hardened their hearts become. Until finally, as it says in Psalms, that let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, and bow down their back always. This is what's going on in the nation of Israel in Paul's day, and even more so today, because they're still rejection. Have you ever hear the 6 Days War? I've got a book on that, and it's very detailed, and I have not got through it yet. But it talks about the 6 Days War and how so much was accomplished in that 6 Days War of Israel regaining some of their land that they had lost. They regained the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula. It actually changed the landscape in that area after the 6 Days War. But I think it was God allowing them to reclaim some of the land that they had lost over the years to the Arabs, to Egypt. They had lost land to Egypt. So that 6 Days War was a very short war. Unfortunately, there was a lot of people lost their lives, but yet the geography of that area was changed significantly to where it is today. And again, you still hear people talk about the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, but all of that came about from that 1967 war called the 6 Days War. But God allows these things sometimes to show them that Israel is still my nation. It's today, even though they've failed him so many times, Israel is still God's nation. I used to put it like this: how many ites are left? How many Jebusites, Amalekites? How many of these only the Israelites are left. The Jebusite, there is a verse that I read, and I wish I'd have marked it down. The Amorites, the Amalekites, the Jebusites, the Perizzites. I mean, there's a lot of these that are now gone. And what happens is these countries overrun, they absorb them, and they actually, they bring people in and repopulate them. They mix intermarriage until eventually the conquered nation is no more. And that has been tried with Israel so many times. Look what happened during the reigns of the king. Look what happened in the Babylonian captivity. That was their key. Was trying to they took Daniel and his three Jewish brothers and with him and tried to. Their idea was to get them to absolutely brainwash them and get them out of being a Hebrew, basically. And it didn't work. But that's the goal. Israelites there is no other nation that I know of that still exists today, been through all of what Israel has. I'm talking about going back in Abraham's day and Jacob's and the 12 sons and the 12 tribes of Israel, what they've been through. Most of it their fault, but God preserved them. God always preserves a remnant. He worked through Cyrus. Cyrus has the distinction of being named 100 and some years before it actually happened as to to issue an edict, let the people go back to and rebuild their land, their temple. So Israel has not been set aside permanently. They're still God's people. And what Paul's trying to say here, even though the nation of Israel has had their eyes darkened, they're a stumbling block, a recompense unto them. He says in verse 11, say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? In other words, have they stumbled to the point where there is no recovery? He says, God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles. Through the fall, or through the rejection of the Messiah, the salvation is open to Gentiles. Through their rejection, through the rejection of the Jews, salvation is open to Gentiles. And that we were, I guess you'd want to say, grafted in because of the fact that the Jewish nation failed. And if you read through Acts, you'll see where there are several instances, and I wish I'd wrote down, but I didn't, where Paul and Silas were in a missionary journey, and they only offered salvation to Gentiles only after the Jews rejected them. Timothy was another one. That's the only time they was offered the salvation of the Gentiles is when the Jews rejected it. And he goes on to say there, to provoke them to jealousy. Provoke the Jews to jealousy. Now, not a bad jealousy. The jealousy he's talked about is the fact that, oh man, look what have we done? We've rejected this grace. We've rejected this mercy, and they have it now, they being the Gentiles. But that's what Paul was saying. Through their rejection, through the Jewish rejection, they have opened up to the Gentile nation, the plan of salvation, and now the Jews look back and say, man, what happened? What did we do? And that was the intent. That's what Paul said, to provoke them to jealousy. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? If their rejection of Jesus can be seen as riches to the Gentiles, how much more is that going to be so when they actually, as a nation, accept Jesus as their Savior? And he mentioned how much more their fullness. Again, we're looking at the fullness of the Gentile. We are in that period of the fullness of the Gentiles, and that will end at the rapture. There will be a point when God will say that church age is over. This is also called the fullness of the Gentiles. And again, that's in Romans 2. Paul talked about the fullness of the Gentiles. At that time, and after the 7-year tribulation, Jewish nation as a whole, Israel as a whole, will finally accept Jesus Christ as their national Savior, as a nation. And what Paul says, just think how much more the fullness at that time. How much more that's going to be so much riches when the nation of Israel, as a nation, accept Jesus Christ as their Savior, as their Messiah. And that's going to usher in 1,000-year reign. But again, it's all this is alluded to in these verses is the fact that there will be a future restoration of Israel as a nation. He didn't kick him to the side and say, just stay there. The church is now what I'm going to use, what he is. But he said, just stay there temporarily while I use the church, while I'll let the fullness of the Gentiles, the time to go on until he calls the church home at the rapture. So if he can picture Israel, in God's eye, set aside over here, and now you're the church. At some point, that will end, and Israel will come back on the scene. And I think that's what he referred to as, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, the fall of Gentiles, the Jews be the riches of the world, which is the Gentiles, and the diminishing of them be riches to the Gentiles, how much more their fullness. When that finally happens, the fullness of God comes in that Jesus, Isaiah, or Israel, as the Messiah. Now, I didn't go fast. That's all I had was on verse 12. But still yet, if you read through that, you'll see the rest of the chapter. There's a lot more of the chapter. Where the Gentiles are warned about the Israel's blindness, since it's only part. So there is a lot more to read in that chapter. Anybody got any comments or questions or? Yep. Well, the biggest remnant for Christ will be the 144,000 who are saved and sealed to do nothing but preach the gospel. And there will be people saved at that time. It's going to be a very difficult time. They'll be martyred for Christ because of the rule of the Antichrist. But yeah, Israel still has a future. And that's what Paul is trying to get the people to see. Apparently there was skeptics in that day and age too. I've heard people today say that same thing. That, Israel's finished. Now it's working through the church. Well, they're working through the true tribe, but Israel's not finished. There's still a lot left for Israel until they accept him as their personal Savior, as a nation, accept him as the Messiah. I'm sorry? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they are. They have been. Again, why? I don't know the mind of God, and I don't claim to, but of all the nations on earth, God created through the loins of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob the nation of Israel and the Jewish nation as a whole. And they are still his people. They are still his chosen people, his chosen nation, no matter what you hear from one dominion or denomination over another. But Israel is still God's chosen people. All right, anyone else? We'll be dismissed, and everybody be careful at home. I think the storms may be coming again, but that's what it looked like on the map when I left a while ago. So let's just be dismissed in a word of prayer. Lord, I just come to you this evening again, thanking you for your grace and your mercy. Be with us this evening on our way home. Keep us safe, Lord. Just minimize these storms, Lord Jesus, and just pray that we can see you through that, Lord, Lord Jesus. We thank you again for this lesson. We thank you that Israel is still your chosen people, and Israel is still going to be operating you as their Messiah, Lord. All this precious name I pray. Amen.